A middle school boy named Jun lives a lonely life. His mother died giving birth to him, and he has no memory of her. His father is emotionally distant and largely absent, showing little interest in Jun's life, not even attending important school meetings about his future. Jun feels a deep, aching void where a mother's love should be. He watches his classmates complain about their overbearing mothers with a sense of envy, yearning for even the smallest maternal gestures, a hug, someone to clean his ears, or just to be cared for. Driven by this desperate loneliness, Jun takes a drastic step. He lies about his age and downloads a sugar mama dating app, hoping to find someone who can show him what it's like to have a mother. He is matched with a beautiful and kind woman named Saki. Nervous, Jun meets her, and she is immediately warm and gentle, calling him adorable. She takes him to her apartment, cooks him a delicious curry, and treats him with a care he has never experienced. Overwhelmed by her kindness, Jun breaks down and confesses the truth. He doesn't want a romantic relationship. He just wanted to know what having a mom feels like. Instead of being angry, Saki is touched by his honesty. She embraces him, comforting him as he cries. She tells him he can think of her as his mother and begins to pamper him, even cleaning his ears in a deeply intimate and comforting maternal ritual. For the first time, Jun feels a sense of boundless acceptance and warmth, finally understanding what it means to have a mom. However, their unique relationship is discovered by the school. Jun faces a 1-month suspension and becomes a social outcast, making his life even more isolated. He doesn't see Saki again, but he never forgets her motherly warmth. Time passes and Jun enters high school. His father takes him out for a meal to celebrate, but has a surprise. He introduces the woman he has been dating and has already married, Saki. The chapter ends with Jun in stunned silence as Saki smiles at him, now officially his stepmother, and tells him she looks forward to living with him and cooking him curry every day. Jun stood frozen, his mind reeling. The woman from the Sugar Mama app was now standing before him as his father's new wife. Before he could even process this, another bombshell dropped. His father, Toshiro, casually announced that due to a work transfer, he was leaving for Singapore almost immediately. With a hurried goodbye, Jun's father left the country, leaving Jun alone in the house with Saki, the woman he had once called Mommy during their deeply vulnerable encounter. The new living situation was intensely awkward for Jun. Saki, however, was calm and cheerful as she moved her things in, choosing a room for herself. That evening, she cooked dinner and the familiar aroma filled the house. She served Jun curry, the same dish she had made for him on their first meeting. As he took a bite, the identical taste confirmed everything. This was undeniably the same Saki. Overcome with confusion, Jun finally mustered the courage to ask the question burning in his mind. Why? Why would she go so far as to marry his distant, uninvolved father? Saki's answer left him speechless. She smiled gently and said, "It's because of you." She explained that when he had cried in her arms and called her mommy, it had made her so incredibly happy. In that moment, she didn't just want to pretend to be his mother anymore. She decided she wanted to truly become it. Later that night, Jun was lying in bed, unable to sleep, his thoughts racing. Saki came to his room, noticing his light was still on. She apologized for the suddenness of it all, and seeing his distress, lit a calming aromatherapy lamp. She then began to gently rock him, telling him it would help him fall asleep as if he were back in a cradle. As she soothed him, she shared her own childhood loneliness and her dream of building a real family. She whispered to him about all the things she wanted to do with him as parent and child, making homemade lunches, taking photos, and spending time together. Jun felt his body relax, enveloped in her warmth and scent. Part of him believed this was all just a desperate dream, too good to be true. As this thought crossed his mind, a single tear escaped his eye. Saki gently wiped it away, reassuring him that it was okay to cry, and reminded him, "Because I am your mommy." The next morning, Jun was still trying to grasp his new reality. As he was leaving for school, Saki saw him off at the door with a bright, cheerful, "Have a nice day," just like a mother would. Jun walked away in a daze, the events of the last 24 hours feeling surreal. He was now living alone with the woman who became his stepmother solely because she wanted to be his mom, all while his real father was on the other side of the world. His deepest, most impossible wish had been granted in the most convoluted way imaginable. Jun's new reality began to intersect with his old life when he was approached by Riko, a childhood friend. She had noticed him being seen off by a strange woman in the morning and confronted him at school. She pointed directly at the bento box Saki had made for him and asked pointedly, "Who made that for you?" Caught off guard, Jun nervously explained that his father had remarried and that this woman, Saki, was his new stepmother. Riko was surprised by the sudden news but seemed to accept it. However, her questioning took a more intense turn when she deduced that Jun's father was away for work, meaning Jun was now living alone with this new stepmother. Jun quickly deflected, insisting everything was fine, but the interaction left him feeling anxious and exposed. After school, his anxiety spiked again when Saki unexpectedly showed up to walk him home. He was embarrassed, feeling it was something for a young child, not a high schooler. Saki, however, was cheerful and unfazed. On their walk, she asked how he liked the bento, and Jun admitted it was the first time anyone had ever made him lunch. Touched, Saki suggested they go grocery shopping together so she could make him even better meals. As they shopped, she involved him in the choices, asking what he'd like to eat. For Jun, this simple, mundane activity was a novel and strangely comforting experience. Their trip took a more emotionally charged turn when they stopped for ice cream. Saki, fully embracing her role, suggested they share and taste each other's flavors. Jun was initially deeply embarrassed, especially when she fed him a spoonful of her ice cream in public. But Saki calmly reassured him that this was a normal bonding thing for a parent and child to do. As Jun and Saki enjoyed their ice cream together, sharing tastes and a quiet moment of bonding, a familiar voice suddenly cut through the calm. It was Riko. She had been passing by and stopped, her eyes wide as she took in the scene. Her gaze shifted between Jun and the woman he had claimed was his new stepmother, now feeding him ice cream in public. Her expression was a mix of shock and deep suspicion. "What are you two doing here?" Riko asked, her tone direct and pointed.